Shivai friends, welcome to Dots of Destiny. Today's video is about the transit of Venus in Aquarius from 28th of December to 28th of January. It's a 1 month transit of Venus. Usually Venus transits little less than 1 month in a sign. But this time, because Venus is slowing down, and in Pisces it will be staying in exaltation but 4 months back and forth in retrogression, the slow movement is visible henceforward. Because the thing is about this transit, whoever, especially those who are running a Venus Dasha Mahadasha, impact will be great starting from Aquarius, because now Venus will be encountering different planets on its way. For Aquarius it is Saturn, later Rahu, then Mercury with Saturn, all these things. And again it will be totally free in its transit from June 1st, and that will be a new beginning in whichever area your Venus is transiting in Aries at that point of time from June. But now this transit of Venus is a bit complicated, not so much in Aquarius but later in Pisces even more. As we know, Venus, we always talk of money and relationship, but understanding that this planet is not just limited to that. It's a very classy, refined, diplomatic planet, and the way it see, the transit, Venus always revolves in the sky opposite to all other planets. And this shows that this planet's in its way, those who have encountered Venus Dasha Mahadasha, they will understand that it's not easy to deal with planet in any form. It promises money, it promises wealth, it promises relationship, but how we deal with it, only not having it is enough. The maintenance of money, relationship, wealth, investment, everything comes under the category of Venus. Venus works good in Dhanishta, I feel, as it is Dhanishta is a Marsian Nakshatra with promise of wealth and status and all this. Satabhisha is, as we know, the 100 doctors. Satabhisha is it is a healing and intellectual nakshatra. Here this Rahu's nakshatra, Venus, actually does good in Swati. Ardra is a little bit complicated. Satabhisha is also a bit complicated in the sense that Venus can be healing over here. It can be so that you have some intellectual groups and networks, because Aquarius is all about that. You can feel uplifted in some way with Venus transiting Shatabhisha. The problem or the slowness of Venus comes when it encounters Saturn in Purva Bhadrapada. This is not an easy nakshatra in any way, as far as I understand Purva Bhadrapada. It is the dance of the madness, and then coming in terms with the spiritual enlightenment which follows into Uttar Bhadrapada. It is a very classic case of Venus and Saturn delivering its, a little bit complicated side in Purva Bhadrapada. It's not a very easy transit henceforth for Venus, because see, always the question arises, Venus Saturn is friend. Yeah, they are, because Venus is Taurus, Mercury is Virgo, and Saturn is Capricorn. So 2, 6, 10, they are a category of planet. They give us the Artha Trikon, the wealthy, the business, the professional, all these things it provides, earthy things. But the thing is that Venus is very different in its working than Saturn. Saturn is an old planet with limitations, boundaries, hard work, karma karak, and Venus is not all these things. It is a diplomatically smart working planet. But when it blends with Saturn, the results are profound in a little bit not the way that we expect Venus to be. So that's the issue with Venus with Saturn in Aquarius. So as the transit begins, till Shatabhisha, Venus is alone, and the effect of Saturn is not very great over here. Later, when it comes to Purva Bhadrapada, you feel the restrictions increase, and the giving of the result that Venus wants to provide is getting restricted in certain ways. That is a challenge which lies ahead in Pisces also. So let us see how this affects for each of the ascendants, because One more thing is that if you're running a Saturn, Venus, Mahadasha, Antardasha, it's a complicated one. Please don't go by people saying, I can... See, I have read this in books, and I have, when people come up to me, I show them also the thing. Venus, Saturn in Dasha, Antardasha is not easy. And if by chance you are running something like that, then the story is not very easy henceforth. Saturn obviously is a same category wise, but Venus Saturn Dasha Mahadasha is a little bit exception. In Dasha Saturn Antardasha Venus, or Dasha Venus Antardasha Saturn, it's not easy. If it is in rather 6-8 position, it is little better off. If one of the planets are little weaker, it is better off. But if they are in 1-5 axis or opposite to each other in your natal chart, you're running this Dasha Antardasha, this transit is following, it's not easy. Venus in this transit works better in the 2nd, 6th and 10th, the Artha Trikon, and also the desire houses 3, 7, 11. The transit is not very favored in the Dharma Trikon with Venus Saturn in the 1st, 5th, 9th, or rather in the Moksha Trikon also. It can generate some kind of a expenditure, monetary losses, or whatever. Emotionally also you can feel low. So let us see what each ascendant has to face in this kind of a transit, which is I think it is the important transit that is starting from just on the brink of the new year 2025, which will pave the path ahead for what the year is panning out, especially from January to May. Let's start. For the Aries ascendant, it is happening in your 11th house of Aquarius, where Saturn is already there, and it's the last 2-3 months of Saturn being there. Venus is coming into Aquarius. It is a good transit for you. The 2nd and the 7th Lord into the 11th house. You can have, especially the beginning 15 days from January to 20th of January, I feel this transit is a better one, because here you have you and your spouse or wealth generation, some profits coming in. Maybe you go for a desire fulfillment with your wife, some monetary decisions, some new networking area, from some kind of a newness in your Venus can be felt, especially the 2nd and the 7th house. Till now Venus is in your 10th house. I don't feel Venus works very good in the 10th house. If you have a governing position of Venus at this point of time, it may work good for you in the 11th house. But understand that slowly, because it will be encountering Saturn as it goes ahead. So if you are gaining profit, 2nd Lord in the 11th, good combination, but the profit can be a bit trimmed. It can come slowly. The generation of the profit can be slow, or maybe not to the extent that you were expecting from this kind of a transit. And after this, as Venus goes into exaltation, that you have to take care, you have to think about that, and then think that the profit, whatever you have earned in this kind of a transit in the 11th house, should be kept intact as much as possible. With networking circles, it can be a good time. It's this time of the year, if beginning of the year you are going for some networks are very important in Aquarius. Venus gives good vibes, but Saturn over there keeps not a very lovey-dovey kind of networking, but it is more practical oriented. Here you are there with the people around you, or whatever people you are encountering for work. As Rahu will then start after Venus finishes this and goes into Pisces, Rahu will come into your 11th house. So networking things are becoming very, very important in your next year forward. And this is the leg of the transit that is starting with that. Venus is just starting with that transit, giving you that flavor, that networking and generation of your profits or incoming gains through networking is very important, starting with this transit. Nonetheless, it is a good transit, and some kind of a desire, small or less, going out with your spouse or something, can be fulfilled with this kind of a transit. Taurus, this is the 10th house. 10th house Venus Saturn combination is good as far as professionally it is concerned. It is your Lagna Lord in the 10th house. The transit of your Lagna Lord in the 10th and 11th, and if you're running a Venus Antardasha or Rahu Saturn, something combining with it, I feel it's a great time for status upliftment and getting the kind of employment maybe you had been searching. 10th Saturn in the last 3 months is gearing to give some good results, after especially Jupiter is now retrograde and goes direct on your Lagna. So these things are very well sought out in this kind of a transit. Obviously Venus being your Lagna Lord is also your 8th Lord. Some kind of a twist of tail can happen in the 10th area. Maybe you were finding for some kind of a thing which is not exactly the same, and some kind of a transformation within you happens, or you had to get into some kind of a settlement where you have to, a little bit you have to change your ways, and then you know that you are suited for that kind of a job. So that is the 10th house Venus Saturn. But professionally I find it to be great time, and though the market of professionals are not very good at this point of time, I feel you'll be able to benefit or reap the better results out of all the ascendants, because your Lagna Lord is transiting in the 10th and 11th house, and in preferably good signs. So make the full out of this. And obviously it is it is you. The Venus is your Lagna Lord. It's you in the 10th house. You can get some long due promotion. You can get some endeavors falling on your, you can get some upliftment in your status through some kind of acknowledgement, recognition, something or the other. This is a good transit to go for. For Gemini ascendants, it is the 9th house. 9th house Venus Saturn, okay, it's 5th Lord in the 9th house, 5th and the 12th Lord. I feel organization with certain kind of educational pursuit, getting into higher degrees, colleges, if you had been looking for these things, that can be the flavor. You can go for long distance journey. Some hindrances you can face when Venus reaches Saturn in Purva Bhadrapada, that is after 20th of January. But before that, the transit is good to go. And with your loved ones, with 5th Lord, with your progeny, your loved ones, you visit, some expenditure is there, you visit places. But these are all not in a very, understand Venus is in Aquarius, means it's in a Saturnic practical sign. It's not the lovey-dovey Venus that we encounter all the time. Your bhagya can rise, you can feel some kind of a betterment if you had been looking for. Your progeny can go for an educational trip, can take educational loans, can make a new decision regarding some higher education. Even you can get some certificates, some higher education courses, enroll into it, long distance journeys, charitable institutions, mixing and mingling with humanitarian causes, same kind of people meeting there. You know that these are professionals. Saturn being there, it cannot be a totally love affair with that kind of a thing, but it's a practical oriented and good to go for, because after that Venus goes into your 10th house, and there's a long transit of Venus in the 10th. So this is the beginning of the transit of Venus in the 9th to 10th to 11th. The transit is good, no doubt about that. Then in 12th, and then on the Lagna. So this transit of Venus starting from Aquarius is a good one, and all the 9th house factors takes a boost, no doubt about that. Cancer ascendants. Cancer ascendants is the 8th house. Venus Saturn combination in the 8th house. Venus is your 4th Lord and the 11th Lord. Now here some kind of a monetary or real estate thing, or some joint ventures with your spouse, with your property, some kind of a thing you may come into decision. Saturn being there, Venus in the 8th can give different kind of relationships also, which is not actually wanted. It's an unnecessary complicated thing. If you have something like that in your life, you can well understand that it'll go into a rough kind of a thing with Saturn encountering Venus in transit. But Venus in the 8th house is good for joint ventures, finances, good to get money from business. Your business can get a inflow of money. That is good. It is aspecting the 2nd house. That is also good for money. Where monetarily I find this transit is good, but but no, don't go, if kind of an investment you are going, because Saturn is there, you have to be very cautious with the investment, because it is your desire, right? The 11th lord coming into the 8th, you can end up desiring into bigger investments. That can happen, many people do that, but think about it, that how much you will be able to maintain it. See, joint ventures, investments, joint finances, whatever, anything related. 8th house is a money house, and Aquarius is maybe in a that kind of an intellectually way, you have researched about it, now you're going towards it. It brings some kind of a transformation, right? About the 11th house, the people that have they may have told you to invest, or the 4th house matters, your mother, your motherland, your real estates, all these things can go for a little bit of changes. Not little bit, it will, because Venus is now in the 8th encountering Saturn, then it goes into 9th and faces many other planets before it comes into your 10th and the 11th house. Lot of changes will be felt in your 4th and 11th house area. It's an important planet for you, no doubt. Though from Libra it's the 5th house, it is a good position, and from the 11th also it is the 10th house, that is also not bad. But please be cautious when you're investing, because you have to continue it. Suddenly it can, sudden jerks, sudden changes, sudden stops can happen. So you think 8th house Venus, look into everything details and then come into terms with all, because Mars is on the Lagna. Don't go for a hasty thing. So, and keep care of your health also. If any problem lingering with you, Saturn Venus can aggravate that, because it is the 11th lord also. So that's the thing. Keep a tab on your health, your finances. If you are getting some legacies, some gains, very good. Nothing can be better than that. For Leo ascendants, it is the 7th house that you are having this Venus Saturn combination. 7th house is a good place for Venus, for business oriented things, and also for relationship purpose. Though many books says that Venus is gives Karaka Bhavanyasha in the 7th house, but still I felt that the presence of this classy planet or refined planet in the 7th house gives a good touch of business and diplomacy in relationship, which is required also. Relationships require a touch of diplomacy. You will learn even more when Venus comes into your 7th house this time, Saturn being there. You know how to handle people in business now, how you have to be very professional in your attitude. The business inflow can happen. It is your 10th lord in the 7th. It's a very 10th from the 10th, Bhavat Bhavam position. It's a good Venus over there in the 7th house. Saturn obviously gives in a kind of responsibility. Whatever Venus brings in the goodies in this kind of a transit, which is a very intellectual transit of Venus in the intellectual sign of Aquarius, especially in the mid part of Shatabhisha. Shatabhisha is that kind of a nakshatra. You can reinvent things over there. You can heal things out there. You can be really good in, healing business or these kind of astrology kind of things, or any other professionals who are in a healing field, acupuncture and all these things. So that is good, but Saturn encountering Venus is not very easy. It takes away some of the softer qualities of Venus. It's a watery planet and Saturn is a very dry planet. That has to be, but that comes later towards the end of January after 28th. Because otherwise the transit is good. Later Venus goes into your 8th house. That's a very big transit till the month of May. June Venus comes into your 9th house. So starting from here, if you're running a Venus Mahadasha Antardasha, you have a new flavor of this planet. Sometimes may be good, sometimes may not be very easy, but that is how the time from January to May, the prominence of Venus in the sky is very high in the first half of this year. And because Mars is retrograde and debilitated in your 12th house, will come into your 11th house on 21st of January. Be careful with the kind of people or partnership you're going. See that it's not in a lost generation. Maybe you're signing some partnership documents, as Venus is coming to its 10th lord, it's a third lord, some kind of initiation in the 7th house matters. But understand, it will go into the 8th house. Saturn will also go into the 8th house. Be very sure to what you are heading towards. Don't go in a way that everything is shady and you're not very unsure, a little bit you're unsure. Don't go in that way. Be sure of the thing that because the next 2.5 years, this can carry forward, or if not that long also, this year, this can be your main theme, especially if you are running a Venus Dasha. So partnerships can be tested. It can be good also. Don't jump into conclusions. Mars is there in the 12th house, so take care. Mars is also aspecting this Aquarius, right? So you have to be slow and steady in the process of the 7th house. Nonetheless, it's not a bad transit in any sense. Some kind of a newness you can feel in the 7th house. Virgo ascendants. Virgo, it's a 6th house. 6th house Venus is good for some humanitarian activity, some social activity. In the office you can get recognition, and it is a second lord coming into the 6th. New money generation ideas can happen. Saturn is now going into, ready to go into your 7th house. You can you can develop a new business from henceforth. Many Virgos have recently, they have reached out to me. They feel that it's too much of a, they had felt in their official thing, and now they're changing into business. This can be the culmination of it. This can be the end and the beginning of a new chapter in your life. These things can happen when Venus and Saturn is in the 6th. The relationship front of Venus in the 6th house with your colleagues, with your other people in your daily life can be good, but it's not a relationship maker transit. We all understand that, the 6th Venus, because Venus originally gets debilitated in the 6th house and in Virgo on your Lagna. So materialistically good transit. Monetary wise, it can uplift your status, and you can get some if you're looking for an employment, that can suddenly crack, because Artha Trikon houses, they give that. And maybe the profits or gains or kind of things you are looking out can be a bit trimmed, because Venus is going towards Saturn, right? After 20th of January, it will encounter Saturn in Purva Bhadrapada. That can be a little bit trimmed, but nonetheless, it's a good transit to go for. And it is your, because this Venus is your 9th lord also, and Jupiter is transiting, so some bhagya problem or obstruction you can feel. That is happening with Virgos right from when Ketu started transiting your Lagna. It's a time of confusion, but slowly with this Venus in Aquarius, and then Venus going into the 7th house, long 4 months of Venus transiting the 7th house, you will come to an end of all this confusion and begin a new journey very soon when Ketu will be out of your Lagna. So, but this is all in all a good transit for the 6th house matters. Don't take it in a lovey-dovey way. It's a practical, money-oriented transit. Simple. Then Libra ascendants. Libra people, Venus is your Lagna lord, and it is your 8th lord also, and Venus is now coming into Aquarius, your 5th house. So here, if you had been disturbed with your progeny related things, that can be a little ease out. Saturn is also coming towards the end of the transit, or you can get some name, fame. Your Lagna lord going into the 5th with Saturn, that was long due maybe. Venus comes and gives that. Love relationships can be very practical, you know that. Saturn Venus is not a very lovey-dovey affair for 5th house also, but nonetheless Venus works. You can have some diplomatically, you have to be a little bit, you can have to deal with your progeny. Lagna lord in the 5th, and then it will go into the 6th, into a long exaltation of Venus 4 months. So there's a lot of changes that is starting from here, and then Venus will have a new beginning in your 7th house. So if you are in the brink of a relationship which can culminate into a marriage, that can take a little amount of time. Fifth house Venus with Saturn can give certain roadblocks. Maybe there's a finalization, maybe, but the marriage takes place only by the month of June, not before that. So certain kind of things, some back and forth movement of Venus starts hence, because Venus is slowing down. Your Lagna Lord, your 8th Lord is slowing down. So investments, 8th Lord into the 5th. If you are an investment person, if you want to invest more, wait for a while, think about it, don't jump into it. You can do the investments now, but think and do. Because Saturn being there, no rush is required at all. And Mars is also aspecting this Venus Saturn from the 10th house, and it is aspecting your Lagna also. So don't be in a hurry, because Mars is in a debilitated condition now. Your 10th house can look a little tumultuous, and your Lagna Lord now coming into the 5th can give a little bit of relief from that. But then don't jump into matters. Let the transit is a good transit, but it's a practical oriented transit, whether getting name fame, whether with your progeny, whether with your love matters, whether talking about marriages going on. Everything takes a practical shape. There is nothing very the grace of Venus is a little bit marred whenever it is with Saturn. So that is how this transit is. So go with it. Nonetheless, not at all a bad transit. Some goodies are with this kind of a transit of Venus. Scorpio, this transit of Venus is in your 4th house with Saturn. This is a good time with family matters, and family is the main. If you are especially running Dasha, Antardasha, Pratyantardasha of Venus, it's a good time to spend with family. Maybe then again you have some job to go back to, but then it's a little bit relief from the Saturn in your 4th house, whether from the Lagna or from the moon. Anyway, Saturn is not very good in the 4th house, and you had been going through that problem if you from beginning of Saturn in Aquarius. This is a good Venus. It can bring some expenses with it, even with your family, your 7th Lord. You can but you can have a good time in your home front. You can decorate your home, you can feel lively over there. Maybe this is not a very long transit, it's a 1 month, but if in a 1 month of good time is good to go with a lot of renewed energy and if to start the process. Now Venus will go into your 5th house also. There's also you can, because this carryover of the 4th energy to the 5th house, Venus, 4 long months of transit, then going into the 6th house into Aries, and some new beginnings with Venus can happen. So this transit is a comfort oriented transit, I can put it in that way. Little bit marred by Saturn, no doubt about it. Saturn is not a comfort planet. The luxury point of Venus is little bit marred over here, but if you have a luxury thing to buy, a car or something, you can, though Mars position is not very good. Jupiter, wait for a while. If you're thinking about it, you can make a choice, and later when Venus goes into exaltation or Mars transit again comes into your 8th house. So maybe if at all you want to buy, this is a good time, not a bad time. Some expenses I can see at the home front can happen. Expenses regarding travel can also happen with your better half. You can meet somebody in your homely front in groups. Maybe your parents or your family members bring somebody, because Scorpio people have a 7th Jupiter running. Some kind of a marriage thing can also culminate at the home front, and later Venus goes into the 5th house in exaltation. It carry forwards that idea. But in between, because it is encountering Saturn Rahu over there, as it is going towards Purva Bhadrapada, then Venus will encounter with Rahu. The quality of Venus is taking a little bit different turn. One has to understand that, because alone the planet, the kind of planet Venus, I feel too close to the sun, it gets burnt. Too close to Saturn, its classiness is gone or refinement is gone. Too close to Rahu, it's very highly indulgent. So I feel Venus is better off in its own way. So anyway, this is a good transit for to get a little bit of better feelings, enjoyment feelings at the home front, your heart. So make the most of it. take into your comforts whatever you feel is good to go for your fourth house Venus. Venus feels very comfortable in the fourth house, no doubt about that. It's a Digbala position for Venus, so good luck for the transit. Sagittarius is the third house of Venus, and it's your 11th lord in the third house and the 6th lord. So this is all about communication and some things that maybe short distance journeys for desires going just like that, going for a vacation with your family, with your better half. That can also happen. Long time you had been planning, you can go for that. The enjoyment that you face over there may be a little less because of Saturn is over there, because the affliction of Venus has to be considered in this case, and also afflicted by Mars also from your 8th house. The drishti of Mars is there on Venus, so in this Aquarius. But it is a good time to all kind of a communication, advertisements, small hobbies, showmanship. Venus is good in third house, showing its skills, the skills of artistry. So any programs you have, you are a performer, all these things, third house Venus is good, and it's just small desires in the third house that Venus can make you fulfill. So this is a good transit. Third house Venus is good, only it will go into a fourth house. That is also not bad. Venus gets Digbala in the fourth house. For 4 months it will be in Pisces, but this is the start of it. Only one thing has to be understood, that Venus is coming under the influence of Saturn. You have to put in some efforts over there, maybe a little bit extra effort than usually Venus you would have need if it was alone in the third house. Some efforts, some constant doing of the things to get the rewards out of it. And Venus coming in contact with Saturn makes it a bit dry, and with Rahu it becomes too overindulgent later in Pisces. So now Venus is encountering different planets, so the flavor of Venus is exactly not like the planet itself can behave, but nonetheless the transit is no way bad. I don't see a bad transit in the third house Venus. It can make you a little lively and make you do things like journeys, skills development, communication, good presentation, advertising, online things. All these things are favored, good to go. Capricorn, it is your second house, 10th lord and 5th lord in the second house with Saturn. This is a monetary transit, and it can be good for your family. It can have a good influence on your bank balance. It can give you, if you're looking for some changes in the job, a better hike, it can give you that also. The Lagna lord is now gearing up to give certain results regarding the second house that you may not have got till now. So the transit wise, second Venus is good. Actually, it holds Taurus in Kalpurush Kundli. Second Venus is a good Venus with all the, you can speak, if you're in a speech related thing, your speech can be good. If you're giving a presentation, that can be good. Your teaching capabilities, your voice, if you're doing something with your voice, it gives a good thing. You can have good food, you can have good time with the family. Yes, but then this is a 1 month transit, right? It's not a very long transit. Venus does like that. It is like in whichever house it goes, it refines it in its own way. You may have felt that when Venus is already currently has transited on your Lagna. So the 10th lord on the Lagna, the second house, the third house, the fourth house, the transit of Venus is good now for you. If you are running a governing Dasha of Venus, it's a good time. No doubt about that. But obviously, Mars is creating an issue in your 7th house, in your 6th house, aspecting your Lagna, aspecting the second house. That is not an easy part. So that's why a little bit of relief in the second house with this kind of a planet, the benefics coming into the second house gives you a relief to a certain extent. You may be going great with your family people. Though Saturn is there, it's not exactly the kind of Venus we want to have, but nonetheless it's not a bad transit. I don't see it in a bad way. Certain glitches may be there. Yes, we know that Saturn Venus is not, though always it is written as friends, but the influence of Saturn or Venus is not very easy. It's a dry planet, and this is a very refined planet. Though both have very different agenda. Money wise, it is good. That's why I'm saying Artha Trikon, Venus Saturn transit. Money wise, certain things can be favorable for your monetary benefits and all these things. So it's a good transit all in all. For Aquarius ascendants, For Aquarius people, it is on the Lagna, the most Yogakaraka planet, 4th and the 9th lord on the Lagna. You can get a very big boost about your personality. Venus on the Lagna gives you refinement in your choosing of friends. Aquarius are group oriented people. They are very they want to be with people. They are on the higher level. This is on the intellectual side, because see, every sign has dimensions of it. On the high level, usually the Aquarius are full of ideas, and the groups also. Then Venus adds to the refinement. This is good. On the lower mundane level side of it, it's like beautifying yourself. It is like feeling pretty about yourself, feeling good about yourself. Maybe you have ladies in your life who are giving you the boost. Enjoy with it, go with it till Venus will meet Saturn, because then some kind of a hindrance is faced when it nears up to Saturn in Purva Bhadrapada towards the end of January. Otherwise, it's a good to go transit. You can feel some kind of an achievement also, or you can feel that after a lot of late things happening a little late, after all you have got some boost with your Bhagya Dasha rising. That can also be felt. All in all, I feel for Aquarius, it's a good time. And then Venus going into the second house is also all money. Now, everything will go into your money house, second house. Before that, I feel you give some time to yourself, renew yourself, replenish yourself, get a good time with friends, intellectual people, good groups, mixing with people. Yes, Saturn does not give a very lovey-dovey feeling. Saturn is a dry planet. It makes you feel very, you have to feel, it can be something learning also in the process, practical learning Saturn can bring. Some kind of journeys can come to your favor. If you want to go for a distance journey, your mother can be helpful. You can, all these things are favored with Venus in the Lagna. It's a good transit, no doubt about it. With Pisces ascendant, it is the 12th house, that Saturn, Venus is not a good planet for you, the 3rd and the 8th lord. Your efforts can or may not be rewarded at this point of time. It's this transit I am not very fond of, to be very clear. The 8th Saturn Venus and the 12th Saturn Venus, these are monetary things, some kind of sudden events, some kind of monetary losses. Be very careful in such, or some kind of a health issue can be triggered, some kind of a effort, because third laws which goes in the 12th house, it can be you are putting effort in a wrong way. Think about it, contemplate about it. Mars is in a debilitation. Your Bhagya Lord is not in a very good condition at all. It is hovering in the 5th and the 4th house. Again, it will come back in the 4th house. Both position of Mars are not good. Until and unless it comes into the 6th house, in crossing Cancer and coming into Leo in the 6th house, you are just not ready in whatever effort you are putting, it can feel like going into a waste. Your money can be squandered. Don't lend money at this point of time. Don't go for higher end, any kind of buying or selling or whatever. Losses can well happen. Rahu is on the Lagna. You can feel that you are sometimes blank all over the place. You just don't know what to do. It's not a very good transit to talk about. But when Venus comes on the Lagna, some change is inevitable by the end of January, because of 1 month transit. After that, when it comes by the end of January on the Lagna, it's a 4-month transit, all the planets on your Lagna. So be very cautious, Pisces ascendants, now as you are going towards a time from January to May end. There is a big churning point with you as an ascendant facing all of these things. Now it is the 12th house, then it will be on your Lagna. So be very careful with your health, where you put the efforts, where you put your money. You should, if you are losing patience because Mars condition is not good, you're not getting exactly help from any centers. You have to do it on your own. Take a little by little at a time. Don't do too much about it, because results will not come immediately. It will take some time. So this transit, you have to be careful. You have to be really careful. So wish you best of luck, because I feel from the beginning of 2025 to end of May, this Venus continue from your 12th to the 1st on the ascendant, getting retrograde now, because it is the 3rd and the 8th lord, will bring a lot of changes. You have to go with the changes. Better luck, Pisces. So this was the 12 ascendants. I'll come with a video next time. Let's see on what. Till then, take care. Have good time.